A midlife crisis is more than just a cultural stereotype. It's a real psychological struggle that can surface between the ages of 40 and 60. Often triggered by aging, loss, or unmet expectations, it can actually lead individuals to question their identity, make impulsive choices, or abruptly abandon long term commitments. While not officially classified yet as a mental illness, the emotional and relational fallout is very real, especially for the spouses and families left behind. This podcast gives voice to those living through the aftermath, exposing the hidden pain, and seeking accountability, healing, and understanding. Thank you for joining us today on MLC Bomb Drop and Beyond. The stories and events discussed in this podcast are for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or professional advice. Any names, locations, or identifying details have been changed to protect privacy. Any similarities to actual persons, living or dead, or real events are purely coincidental. The information presented on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. Always consult with a qualified expert regarding any decisions related to your specific situation. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the podcast creators. Hey guys, it's Halloween, the night the veil thins, the night when spirits whisper, shadows stretch long, and the unseen makes itself known. But for some of us, that veil didn't wait until October. It tore open the moment our world did, the night of the bomb drop. When the person we loved turned cold, alien-like, strange, unrecognizable, like something had taken them over. Well, thanks for joining us today. I'm Trina. This is Midlife Crisis, Bomb Drop and Beyond. And tonight we are going into the dark, into a story that blends betrayal, belief, and the energy of evil intentions. Because not all hauntings come from the dead. Some come from the living who've lost their souls along the way. It is crazy. So there is a lady I recently met. We're going to call her Mara. Mara was married for over 30 years. They have a couple of children, adult children now. Her husband was devoted, just a pillar of the community, grounded, just a great husband and father. But about a little over a year ago, he started to behave differently, and eventually she noticed it was really the checklist was everything on under midlife crisis. Her husband quickly became reckless, obsessed, convinced he'd found his true self in the arms of another woman. He ended up, I believe he's with, I think, 2 or 3 affair partners. I think he had 3. He's back with the first and second one. But one is more primary than the others. Well, after the affair went public, he took one of his affair partners for a few weeks to Brazil. They told friends they were going to go for a spiritual blessing, something about cleansing old energy and opening a path for love. Soon after, there were photos on social media with them, with candles, roses, a temple by the sea. They called it sacred. Well, they returned to the States, and 3 days after they returned, Mara collapsed. Mind you, she did not go with them on their trip or to the spiritual blessing. They have been completely estranged. He lives with the other woman and, but so anyway, they came back to the States. Mara collapsed. Her face wasn't paralyzed, but something was off. Her body trembled. Her words slurred. Her left side felt heavy, as if half her body had gone to sleep. She went to the doctor. She went to the ER. Doctors ran every test they could, but nothing could really explain it. One was saying stress. Another said it was neurological inflammation. But Mara thought quietly to herself, you know what? I think they did something to me while they were away. She felt cursed, as if their blessing had bound her instead. And you know what, you guys? We always say, trust your instincts. And that is exactly what Mara was doing. Now, I know there's a lot of you guys out there that might roll your eyes when I talk about, spirits and things. But for anyone who's lived through an MLC bomb drop, you know the trauma doesn't feel humanly explainable. It is bizarre. It is honestly like they have been abducted by an alien. And I have a really cool graphic to that, to symbolize that. Maybe I'll put it on our Facebook page because it's crazy. Anyway, the destruction is crazy. It is so senseless. It is so cruel that, in some ways it feels spiritual. And this isn't superstition, it's the mind's way of making sense of chaos. When your world implodes, your nervous system becomes your storyteller. It speaks in tremors, it speaks in panic, in sleepless nights, and sometimes in your body totally breaking down. Bell's palsy, shingles, autoimmune flares, migraines, they are all trauma signatures. So, yeah, it feels like a curse because, in a way, it is. And it is a curse. It's like an energetic one. And not from candles and chants, but from emotional violence, from betrayal that seeps into your cells. And there's another layer here. Why do midlife crisis affairs so often get mixed up with spirituality? Well, the blessing in Brazil wasn't random. It's part of a pattern. When someone is drowning in guilt and identity collapse, they crave validation. They want to believe their affair isn't just lust, but destiny. So they seek a ritual to sanctify it. In parts of Brazil, you're going to find ceremonies through Umbanda, like African rooted faiths honoring Orisha's energy, ancestry. But like anything sacred, they can be twisted. People go seeking love bindings, thinking they're calling it divine love. But psychologically, they're trying to control an outcome. It's the illusion of power, such as if I can't face my shame, I'll turn it into magic. Yeah, that works really well. So, even if no spell was cast, the belief in one can trigger real symptoms. Neurologists call it psychogenic illness, emotional shock that rewires the body. Heart palpitations, tremors, even paralysis can emerge after betrayal. And that's not weakness. That's the body screaming, I have had enough. Mara's curse, it may not have come from a Brazilian priestess. It might have come from the unrelenting psychic violence of betrayal, the constant fight or flight of loving someone who's spiritually vanished. But here's where this gets powerful. When Mara brought in someone to perform a cleansing, it wasn't superstition, it was reclamation, a symbolic act of saying, this energy leaves my home. This energy leaves my body. And that, psychologically and spiritually, it works. Because ritual, whether prayer, therapy, or ceremony, it gives us a way to rewrite the ending. And that's exactly what Mara did. She was really convinced that there was a spell on her, and it was freaking her out. She found somebody that could come to her home and do a cleansing. The cleansing session was intense. Candles, salt, smoke, chanting, full-on ritual. And you know what? The next morning, the woman who performed it called Mara. She was shaken and said she'd been violently ill all night, explosive diarrhea, chills, dizziness. And she said, girl, whatever that was, it's out of you now, and it hit me instead. And you guys, whether that was coincidence, transference, or a true energy release, something moved, something broke. From that day forward, Mara said she finally felt lighter. Her tremors eased, Her home felt peaceful again. She still goes through some issues, but it's getting lighter and lighter. What's fascinating here is really how the same idea, that dark energy, can attach and must be expelled. And that it exists across several faiths. In Christianity, pastors and priests call it deliverance. Through prayer, anointing, and authority, they drive out what's unholy, whether you name it oppression, spiritual warfare, or demonic interference. Strip away the language and symbols, and it's the same human instinct to remove what doesn't belong, to reclaim peace from chaos. Whether it's a priest saying, "In the name of Jesus, be gone," or a healer burning sage and salt, the message is identical. That message, darkness, you have no home here. And maybe that's what true healing really is. Not a miracle or a spell, but a declaration of sovereignty, a soul standing up and saying, "You will not have me." So, Halloween reminds us of two truths: that the unseen world is real and that we can choose which energies we invite in. Midlife crisis behavior often opens dark portals: lies, lust, betrayal, emotional possession. But healing closes them, not through fear, but through sovereignty, through saying, "I may not control what he did, but man, I can control what stays in me." So, whether you light a candle, whether you say a prayer, smudge your space, or speak affirmations, remember, intention is your protection, because curses only work if you believe you are powerless, and you are not. So, we do have a little at-home ritual if you want to reclaim your energy. And, it probably doesn't hurt. So, here's a simple act you can do right now. No priest, no healer required. Just turn off your lights, light a candle, hold a bowl of water or a handful of salt, whatever feels cleansing. So again, turn off your lights, light a little candle, grab yourself a bowl of water or a handful of salt, and say aloud, "I release what is not mine. I call my energy back from every place it has been taken. Only light may remain." Again, I release what is not mine. I call my energy back from every place it has been taken. Only light may remain. Then blow out the candle and imagine every spark sealing your energy field with peace. You have just performed a declaration of protection. Nothing dark, nothing dangerous, just intention and light. And sometimes, you guys, that's all it takes. Because seriously, light is stronger than darkness, always. So I want to give you some stats here on curses and spells and all that. A global study found that about 40% of respondents across 95 countries believe that certain people can cast curses or spells that cause bad things to happen to someone. Again, that's 40% of people that were surveyed. In the US, a survey found about 30% of adults believe in the power of spells, curses, or other magic to influence people's lives. And when you look at these beliefs by country, they vary widely. In some places, belief in witchcraft and spells is really high, and in others, much lower. Here's some stats, you guys, on the percentage of people who believe in curses and spells that they can cause harm to others. This is a little global overview of belief in curses, spells, and witchcraft. Tunisia is the highest, with about 90% of people surveyed there believe in curses and how they can cause harm to people. Ghana, 87%. Nigeria, 80%. Colombia, 72%. Brazil, 65%. Mexico, 56%. India, 49%. Philippines, 45%. In the United States, about 30%. Poland, 28%. France, 17%. And Sweden, apparently is among the lowest at 9%. So again, globally, around 40% of people believe that spells or curses can cause harm. But in places like Brazil, Mexico, and Ghana, it's closer to 2/3 or more. So when Mara felt something dark after her husband's blessing trip, she wasn't imagining some fringe superstition. She really was feeling something millions around the world would instantly recognize. She really felt it. And these stats are coming from the Public Library of Science, one, and the Pew Research Center. In Christianity and other faiths, witchcraft is typically framed as evil or forbidden because it invokes power outside of God. The Bible, Deuteronomy 18:10-12, and Galatians 5:19-21, warns against sorcery and divination, seeing them as invitations to dark spiritual forces. Many pastors and priests performing deliverance view witchcraft as a doorway to demonic influence, and they have trained to renounce and expel it. And we do have priests here in the United States that are trained to renounce and expel evil from somebody. And outside of the church context, witchcraft has dozens of meanings. In African and Latin America, witchcraft can mean harmful sorcery, but it can also mean healing or protection rituals. So that's where we can have maybe protection ritual that goes bad, like in Mara's situation. In modern Western practice here in the U.S., we have like Wiccans, neo-pagans, herbal healers. Some of them see witchcraft as earth-based spirituality and not necessarily devil worship. Anthropologists frame witchcraft as a social mechanism, a way people explain misfortune, envy, or power imbalance in communities. So, you guys, depending on where you stand, witchcraft could mean evil, healing, or simply the language of unseen energy. And from a trauma-informed or symbolic view, the one that fits, into the shadow that we see, when people feel powerless, like after betrayal or humiliation, they sometimes reach for forbidden power, rituals, spells, manipulation to regain control. That attempt to command energy or outcomes, not because of the ritual itself, but because it's rooted in fear or revenge. And psychologically, evil isn't in the ritual, but it could be in the intent. So, you guys, whether witchcraft is evil depends on who you ask. In religion, it's rebellion against God. In culture, it can be healing or heritage. In psychology, it's often an attempt to control what feels uncontrollable. The danger lies not in candles or chants, but in the motive behind them. And here we have somebody who really felt the effect of something, and it was pulled out of her system and went into somebody else, the transference. So you never know. Well, I'm Trina Laird, reminding you that not every monster hides under your bed. Some wear wedding rings and whisper destiny. But light is stronger than darkness, always. Protect your energy, Bomb Squad, reclaim your power, and this Halloween, let the only thing haunting you be the strength you never knew you had. Happy Halloween. Stay safe, stay well, stay awesome. Hey, some resources that are available for you guys are thewifeexpert.com. That's Lori McDermott over there at thewifeexpert.com. She also has a new app out. There's tons of videos that can give you all kinds of information on no matter where you are on your MLC journey or trying to reconcile with your spouse. So check out thewifeexpert.com. And if you're not sure if your spouse or yourself is in maybe approaching or in a midlife crisis, be sure to check out Kenda Root's quiz at midlifecrisismarriageadvocate.com. Again, that's a midlifecrisismarriageadvocate.com. That's a quick little 2-minute quiz. It's free. So check that out as well. We have a ton of resources out there for you guys. So check them out. Thanks. You guys, forward moving spouses, you are not alone. Left behind spouses You are not alone. Those in crisis, you are certainly not alone. This is just crazy how epidemic this has become. I have a waiting list now of people from around the world that I'm trying to get to. And if you've been through a midlife crisis or been impacted by someone else's and you want to share your story, I'd love to hear from you. Hang in there, you guys. I will get to all of you. Please reach out to me at mlcbombdrop@gmail.com and visit us on Facebook and Instagram, MLC Bomb Drop. And just remember, your voice matters. Your story could be the one that helps someone else feel seen. It could help someone else feel heard. And it will help somebody else feel understood. You are not alone, no matter where you are in your journey. If the bomb was just dropped, the earthquake just happened, if you are 7 or 8 years in and you're coming out of starting to wake up and awaken to this, um, you are not alone. It's sad that this is epidemic, but we're here to provide support. So until next time, take care and live authentically each and every day. Thanks again, you guys.